ever since the coronavirus forced Americans to stay home, that obviously led to the shutdown of a lot of businesses, and Congress has since passed several relief measures aimed at getting Americans back on their feet. But after trillions of dollars got rubber stamp approvals, the country as a whole is really nowhere near reopening, and Americans are becoming impatient with elected leaders. Well, today, the U.S. Treasury Secretary and the Federal Reserve Chairman were grilled by members of the Senate Banking Committee wanting to know where all that money went. RT's Rachel Blevins has been monitoring those hearings. She's joining.
All praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Elakaha Kadash, and the Buhana Tuzel, and the Apostle of Gutimison who do well and who taught us this 100% truth. According to the scripture, a peace, blessing, and salvation to you, Akiamua, pushing this truth to the four winds of the heaven, being on the forefront of this spiritual war, to make sure Jerusalem is established as a praise here on earth again. This was a news, you see, from Alati America. See, it is basically going into Esau snitching Esau. See, about that check. See, it's all about that money, man. See, so this is the so-called middle class income Edomites. They are complaining about their leader, man, about that money. They are asking where did that money go? See, about the check, man. See, so this was a video uploaded by Elder Apostle Taha on his YouTube channel, GMS Dog YouTube. See, so I wanted to do a response on it. So let's finish the video, then we'll get some few scripture.
Us now with the details. So Rachel, how did these hearings actually play out?
Well, this marked the first time that administration officials were questioned on the results of that $2.2 trillion CARES Act. And it was also the first time a hearing was held remotely for social distancing purposes. Now, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was questioned about a recent report which found that his department has actually spent very little of that $500 billion that was supposed to be used as loans for businesses and local governments. And to that, he said, well, they're planning to spend it. They just haven't done it yet. Now, he was also asked about accusations that the government has prioritized major corporation businesses have been left to suffer. Here was his response.
Companies such as Boeing that I had expected would need to borrow from.
So what happened is this major corporation or this banks and whatever, man, they got a bailout, man. See, they got bailed out. And as a middle class income were left out, man. And another thing is, which is the coronavirus things, Esau wanted to eradicate the middle income, because when he roll out is a chip, you see, and you have a middle class income people who are self-sufficient. How will you make them take the chip? You need to crash them out. So that they can beg for a solution, and that's what transpired, which is a whole coronavirus thing. See? So Esau is a well-informed man. He knows about this whole situation. That's why they are making some noises. Let's continue.
Us on a direct basis, we're able to borrow $25 billion in the primary markets. So I would say in the best case scenario, the markets open up and we don't need to use these facilities. In the case of Main Street facility and the municipal facility, which we expect both to be up and running by the end of the month, we expect these to have a big impact on both those markets.
Now, that Main Street lending program he referred to is a $600 billion program meant to help small and mid-sized businesses that don't typically qualify for other programs. And even though that's supposed to be up and running by June, it's still not clear exactly when those businesses will get the help they desperately need.
And also, Rachel, we're seeing record unemployment. How did the officials respond to concerns about Americans who aren't able to pay bills?
Right, we've seen more than 36 million Americans file for unemployment since the lockdown began, and members of the committee expressed concerns about those who are no longer collecting a paycheck but are still expected to pay rent. To that, Federal Reserve Chair Powell said that the goal right now should be to focus on getting Americans back to work. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Long periods of unemployment can really affect people's ability to go back to work because they lose their networks, they lose their skills, they lose contact with the job market. So I think anything that keeps people intact is probably hopefully in their job, but in the meantime, keep them out of insolvency and things like that. Should the expansion start later or take longer to get going?
So, the top echelon of the Nation of Freedom, what they did is they got lead of the middle income, man. And what this will lead to what we call class wars, man. The middle income against the upper income, man, or whatever. You see, that's what it will really lead to, man. So, all hell will break loose in America, man. Nothing will go back to normal. How will anything go back to normal and you don't have the middle income, man? All you have in America is useless eaters, man. People who are waiting for that stimulus check. You see? And that stimulus check will lead to Esau snitching Esau. Esau snitching Esau. And eventually class wars will follow suit.
It's also important to note that according to the latest reports, 44% of the Americans who have filed for unemployment have yet to receive any benefits or have been denied.
It's all about that benefit, man. Every Edomite wants to get a piece of pie because this is their kingdom, man.
Denied altogether.
And did they say anything about provisions for essential workers?
Right. Well, the senators brought up those service industry workers who have remained on the job because they are considered essential but are still receiving low wages, even with the higher risk at work. Here's what they had to say about that.
Put their lives on the line for very low wages, and they're still worried about their paying the bills. Is that fair?
Well, Mr. Senator, I just want to thank all the essential workers, whether it be the healthcare people, the
thanking is great, but these are people. Is it fair that our economy pays the essential workers so little?
So let's go right into the scriptures, man. A kingdom divided, you see. Kingdom divided, you see. This is a book of Matthew 12 and 25. It say, and Yahushua knew their thought, and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. See, like there you see class wars are boiling, man. You see. Edom will go to war against Esau and against Edom, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? You see, that's the question for you people who think that everything will cool down. You see. This lesser Edomites, they just sit quiet and forgive as their leaders for what they did, eradicating their income, people going and being unemployed. He used to make a certain amount of money annually. Now he is not making anything. You see, he's not making anything. Do you think what that will lead to, man? It will lead to people becoming hungry. And when somebody become hungry, what's happening, man? They lose all their reasoning, man. So at the end of the day, what is coming next is insurrection, man. Insurrection. Let me see if I can get it. This is 2nd Ezra 16. Starting at verse 68, it says, "For behold, the burning lust of the great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you, and feed you, being idle, with the things they offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be heard in derision, and in reproach, and trodden under foot. For there shall be in every place, and in the next city, a great insurrection upon those that fear as the Lord." So this is actually anarchy. And what does anarchy mean? Disregarding your leaders, man, your mayors, your police, or whatever. You see, that is insurrection, man. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And this is going to you, Israelite, man. So these class wars, they will lead to civil wars. Civil wars, they will lead to less wars, man. You see, less wars, man. So let's go to verse 77. They say, "Woe be unto them that are bound with their sin, and covered with their iniquity, like as the field is covered over with bushes, and the path thereof is covered with thorns, that no man may travel through." So this is talking about you, Israelite, man. You adding sin upon sin, man. And you have people who actually think it is a good thing to be a two-sided, because at the end of the day, both Israel will be saved. They will inherit the kingdom of heaven, man. It is good for you, man. If you think like that, it's good for you. But you will die a horrible death, man. You see? You will die a horrible death, man. It is good for you if you think like that. Keep on going, man. It's good for you. See? This is the book of Isaiah 31. Let's see. Verse 3. "Now the Egyptian are men." Let's see. Let me see. It is. Let me see the scripture you want. It's somewhere in Isaiah. Isaiah 19. Salaki. Isaiah 19. See. Verse 2, it says, "And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and the kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek the idol, and to the charmers, and to them that have a familiar spirit, and to the wizard." So right now, the top wicked elite of Esau, they think that everything is under their control. When all hell break loose, man, to the maximum extent, man, this wicked elite, they will lose control over their new world order. See? That's where really Esau will start being like a chest law. A chest law, man. And what is a chest law, man? A female deer. A female deer. Let me get that, man. Let me get that chest law, man. That's Isaiah 13. Isaiah 13, it say, and the 14 it say, "And it shall be as the chest law, and as the sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and free everyone into his own land." Who was this, man? The other nation who are over there in Babylon or America, they will flee to their own land. See, and the only people who will be left there is Jacob and Esau, man. Because all of these things is about the Jacob and Esau, man. It's about that birthright, man. See? So this, I hope you brothers were edified onto the next Shalom.